Hello, welcome back to Only Pistols. Today we're having a look at Finework Bow's venerable Finework Bow 65. No, we're not actually. Today we're having a look at a Titan Globe. This is a facsimile copy of the Finework Bow 65 made by the English company, or for the English company, Titan Developments of Birmingham. One of half a dozen facsimile copies that were being made in the late 80s, and probably, I think, the best of the copies. So let's have a look at some of the markings on it to start. And I warn you, I don't read Mandarin. It probably says genuine copy of a Finework Bow 65, honest. But the only thing I can see there is the globe marking for the manufacturer and 4.5mm. And a handy Titan England on the stock and also on the receiver. Nothing else on that side. There is a serial number stamped into the bottom. Whether that is an actual serial number or a collection of letters, I don't know. I haven't seen enough of these to be able to judge. Otherwise, markings on the sights are in Chinese, and otherwise the operation is the same as a Finework Bow 65. So some of the external differences: the muzzle weight is cruder but operates the same. You have an interchangeable foresight blade element, which is held in by much the same way, so you've got the little screw on the end. The muzzle is crowned and finished quite nicely, but it's a blockier, squarer, less finished item than the genuine Finework Bow. The rear sight is a blade held on by a screw rather than a one-piece casting that you'd get on genuine 65. And as you can see, generally the outside appearance is a lot rougher and a lot less well finished. There's a lot less polishing, but for all that, it works. So you've got a lot of file marks on it. Otherwise, on the controls, standard style trigger for a Finework Bow 65, and the recoil lock that you would also find on the Finework Bow 65, and we'll touch on that in a minute. So operation wise, exactly the same as a 65. Push that lever in there, which releases the cocking lever. Pull that back to cock the spring in the two-part compression cylinder, and then pellet goes into the exposed breech. And just the same as a Finework Bow 65, you've got a plastic cone seal there. Close that up, and just like on the 65, the recoiling sledge system, so able to recoil and then comes forwards. The differences, well, fit and finish obviously give a little bit to be desired, but when this came out, it was half the price of a 65 even back then, and it's not bad. It works. It's pretty accurate. It is very accurate, and generally a very good copy. What didn't they copy? They didn't copy the piston seal. So on a genuine 65, you have a metal seal on the piston. On one of these, you get a rubber seal, which is fine. It works perfectly well, and in some ways, it's more replaceable. Of course, with the metal ones, you probably never had to replace them. How does it operate? Well, it operates exactly the same as a 65. When you open the cocking lever, you are drawing the outer piston back, and it also pulls back the inner piston with the piston seal on it. So the cylinder is that part there that you can see now moving forwards. That's the cylinder, and that pushes the piston back and catches it at the end of its stroke. So you insert a pellet into the end of the breech, into the end of the barrel, into the breech. Close that up, and you've now left the piston at the back and you've moved the cylinder forwards. So again, firing it, take up the slack on the trigger, and it fires. And actually, it's a really good trigger. So there's no creep on it. It doesn't move at all before it breaks, and it is adjustable. So what was I saying about this earlier? Well, on a standard 65, you're able to lock it the right way. You're able to lock the recoil, which was meant to be so that you could effectively train better for recoiling pistols. And normally I would normally hook that cocking lever into my side before putting my fingers into the breech, just in case anything let go. But it's difficult to do that and show it on camera. So in theory now, when I fire it, it shouldn't move back at all. But as you can see, it does. And that's one of the things about these facsimile copies. They're not absolutely perfect, so it doesn't lock. So the appearance is there, but not necessarily the function. How does it function? Well, actually, surprisingly well. And when they were produced, they were about half the price of a genuine fine work bow 65, which was an expensive pistol, still is an expensive pistol. So they were affordable. If you want to shoot 10-meter target pistol, this was a really good way of starting. And are they actually a fine work bow? No, of course they're not. It's a copy. It's a pretty good copy. But at the time, there were about 6 other copies of this fine work bow 65 knocking around at the same time. I think the Titan was probably the best. And you could probably pass it off on a firing line if you were at one end, but anyone getting closer up to it would obviously realise you were firing a Titan, not a genuine fine work bow. I suspect fine work bow just thought it's not worth the candle of trying to chase people down for copyright infringement. And by that stage, they'd obviously moved on to the fine work bow 80 anyway. So not a lot of point in trying to pin this one down. So there you go. The Titan Globe, commissioned by the English company Titan Developments of Birmingham. A really interesting little pistol from my collection, and still a very good operating pistol, works very well. And one day I might even get a fine work bow 65 myself. So that's it. If you've liked this, then please like, share and subscribe. And otherwise, I'll see you again with another target pistol. Thanks very much. Bye.